Hi, I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines, and today we have another little bit of a controversial video. So I wanted to find out if the new 4-cylinder RX is louder than the previous generation V6 when driving. It's a question I get asked all the time, so I convinced my boss to buy us this little decibel meter off of Amazon. So since I convinced him to spend some money on it, I'm sure we're also gonna measure some other things about the car and the noise levels that it has. But before we get into the video, make sure you hit like and subscribe for more Lexus related content. And stay tuned to the end of the video for a special surprise. Okay, so in the 2023, we're gonna do a few different tests here. I did some Googling because I had no idea what decibels mean what. So just so you guys know, so according to Google, 30 decibels, between 30 and 40 is what like your bedroom would be. 30 would be like a library. 40 to 45 or even 50 could be like a normal office space. And I think they said a luxury car should be like 65 or something like that. I can't remember, but just remember what it's like in like a normal room ambient noise, and we'll kind of compare that between both RXs. Okay, so let's check the idle on the 4-cylinder, windows up, just parked. Okay, all right, around 43 once we stopped moving, 42.8, 43, that's with the AC off, no cooling fans on the seats or anything on, just idle. Okay, so let's do one from a stop up to 80 kilometers an hour in the 4-cylinder. Let's see what happens. Okay. Okay, so the highest it got from 0 to 80 kilometers an hour, pedal to the floor, was 69. That's not too bad. We'll compare that. Now, I'm noticing at a cruise, the 4-cylinder is really quiet. Yeah, it's at like 54 on a cruise. I mean, the RPMs, even at like 70 kilometers an hour, is only like 1,500. So I think the big takeaway isn't gonna be how loud the cars are when cruising, at cruising speeds, because I think they're both gonna be very quiet, but more that acceleration stage where you'll really hear the 4-cylinder or the V6. I think that's gonna be the big takeaway here. Okay, so now we're in a 2020 F Sport Series RX, and I have the windows up, all the AC, everything is off. We'll start with the idle and just kind of see where our idle is. Okay, so once everything kind of settled there, it was like 45 at an idle with the V6. Okay, so the 2023 feels different, but not in a bad way. It's just the 2020 versus the 23. I don't know, they even just feel different when you drive them. It's funny. Driving them back to back is kind of cool. Okay, we're gonna do the 0 to 80 right now. So I'm just gonna go down to 0, and then we're gonna punch it to 80. Okay, I saw it get to 74. Like it blurped to 74. That's interesting. The V6 sounds good, but it did get to 74. So now we're cruising. We're at about 70K. Okay, I think the average now, so while cruising at about 70K, it was like 57. When you're at speed, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. It's interesting, so this is an F Sport, so you hear a bit more intake noise. And I notice when we're at a cruise and I touch the gas at all, I do hear more of it. But same thing, when I'm not touching the gas or if I'm just maintaining a speed, it's very quiet in here. But I am surprised that I can hear that engine just a little bit more when I do it that way. So that's interesting. Okay, so I wanted to hear what the exhaust sounds like outside the vehicle by us revving it. So we came to this quieter spot. The ambient noise here is about 56. So hopefully that gives us a little bit of buffer to hear how loud that exhaust is. Okay, so it looks like we got to about 75 decibels by me revving it to about 6,000 RPM at a standstill. Okay, so I also wanted to get revving it 6,000 RPM, sitting in the cabin with the windows up. Ambient noise in here is about 43, 42 right now. Okay, so it looks like 6,000 RPM was about 64 decibels in the cabin of the 23 RX. Okay, so let's try it revving it to 6,000 RPM from behind the 2020 RX and see what it reads. All right, so we were at 77 from behind the 2020 RX. Okay, so let's rev it to around 6,000 RPM while sitting in the vehicle and kind of see where the decibels read. Okay. Okay, that was like between 65 and like maybe it peaked at like 67, something like that. Okay, so the verdict is in. I have all my notes here between the two vehicles. So to recap, on the 2020 V6 3.5 liter, we have the outside revving at 77 decibels, inside revving at 67, and then the inside acceleration at 80 kilometers an hour at 74 decibels. The 2023, which is the 4-cylinder turbocharged engine redesign, outside revving 75, inside revving 64, and the acceleration 69. So the really interesting part of this is so many times when I'm showing these new vehicles, a lot of people say the new 4-cylinder sounds louder. I think maybe the pitch is a little bit higher, but based on our measurements today, the V6 is actually louder. It just has that V6 sound to it. So I think that's why people didn't notice or care that it was a little bit louder. But it was fun being able to drive them back to back. It's been a long time since I drove, you know, the V6 in particular, but also right behind the new 4-cylinder. And they definitely both have great characteristics and a little bit different personalities to it. So I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines. Thank you for watching our video. And since you stuck around to the end, there is one more test I have for you. Okay, so as promised, I have one more car to do as a surprise. It's an old Toyota, so we'll see kind of how it goes. And under load, it gets to about 89. So I guess it's safe to say it's just a little bit louder than any of the other cars that we've done so far.